Welcome to He Did This to Me, the sports podcast from a father and son who happen to be mostly optimistic Knicks, Mets, and Jets fans. My name is Nick, a.k.a. Goody, and with me is my old man, a.k.a. the big guy, Noel. And just like his name, all we do is win. Let's get to the show. It's time to begin. Just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. The Knicks pull another Jekyll and Hyde and find a way to get a win, down 20. Third time they're down 20 in the playoffs and come back. Most times that's happened since 1998. They now are down 1-2 to the Indiana Pacers. Game 4 is tomorrow. Listen, I got to, off the top, I got to keep it a buck with all Knicks fans. And it's funny because I went through Twitter yesterday after the game, and everybody from, people that are just lowly fans like me to the big perks of the world were all writing the Knicks obituary, saying like, hey, man, they're going out like this. Big Perk even said something about them getting punked. And I know I made a comment and on somebody else's post, and I know that I've had conversations like this with other Knicks fans just in the last, 12 hours about the fact that a lot of us, including you and I, were sitting around talking about, what would we be willing to give up for Giannis? And then in the fourth quarter, Karl Anthony Towns drops 20 points, absolutely takes over the game. Within the last 3 quarters before that, I will say that there is no Knicks fan in the world who wasn't questioning whether or not Karl Anthony Towns is the guy that we need him to be for this team to ever really be able to do anything. And he totally changes the narrative. People forget he had an amazing game 1 as well. And yeah, man, we're right back in this series. It's a series. Come out, take care of business in game 4. Knicks are what, 6-1 on the road now? Talk to me, big guy. How we feeling?
I feel great. I mean, listen, this is a much different show, obviously, than if we had lost. And the same thing can be said for next week when we do this. Who knows what we're going to be feeling like then? I'm not ready. I mean, is it a series? It's always been a series, but listen. And this is Captain Obvious stating the obvious. If we don't win Tuesday, yesterday meant 0, in my opinion. And while we were all having our doubts and having conversations about what it would be like without Cat or to move on to somebody else, I wasn't ready to put that in public print. Those are the only things I speak about in my mind and with you. No one else. No one publicly.
Yo,
but
man,
it's a different time.
The whole Knick team was doing it. The whole Knick Nation was doing it yesterday. Everybody.
Yeah. Knick Nation. Anyway, I listen. I'm very happy with the outcome, obviously. But we were, we were on the brink there. We cannot be in that position again. We're not going to keep coming back. And I think you said that's the first time somebody's come back from 23 times in the postseason since 98. I think I heard that's the first time ever any team has come back.
I think 98 might be. I think 98 might be when they started to track it.
Right. Okay. Then maybe that's it. But listen, hey, it's a great comeback, great win. But again, it's nothing we'll remember. See, I heard somebody bring up last week that after that first loss and Halliburton doing the choking thing, that the only reason we remember what's his name doing the choking thing when he did it, Reggie Miller, is because we lost that series.
No, we won that series.
I thought I know
for 100%
fact.
100% fact we won that series because
I don't remember.
Saying,
I was there, but I forgot.
Let's get the same result after Halliburton did that.
Well, let's hope so, right? Let's hope it works out that way. And just as an aside, I'm sure we'll talk about earlier, his dad's going to be in the house, but up in
a suite,
up in a suite.
Yeah. Listen, I don't think he should be, but I thought what he did at the end of that last round was absolute bush league and just poor form. But we've talked about that before. But I mean, hey man, we got to spend some more time on Cat, okay? Because
sure.
It's just unreal what this guy did yesterday, yo. For him to come in that fourth quarter, he's at that point, he's, hasn't hit a 3. He hits 3. He's going to the hole strong. There's no flailing. There's no offhand offensive fouls. There's no, I went and rewatched the fourth quarter last night. The on time defensive rotations that he had in that fourth quarter, where he just, the thing about Cat is yeah, he's not gonna jump up and sky and block some guy's shot, but if he's there in time, his size is going to be an impediment for the other team, and he was doing that so well in the fourth quarter, and he's the microcosm of this entire team this season, where it's just like certain times it's just like, wow, this guy is the best in the world. He's one of the best big men in the world. He's like, that there was times during the year where you and I looked at each other, we were like, yo, I mean, I'm not gonna say he's better than Joker, but it's not that far away. And then there's other times where you look at him and you're just close. Like, he's not the answer. We got to figure something out. Like, can we package him and maybe even a Bridges for Giannis? And it's like now you take a step back and you're like, yo, man. Again, like I said earlier, people forget because of the collapse of game one. Both him and JB had amazing offensive games. But I was especially impressed with his defense yesterday in the fourth, and for him to just be able to turn it on and literally take over that game. He matched the Pacers with 20 points all by himself. And that shot that he hits when it's 91-90, and he hits the three to put us up 94, and it's like that, which should have been an and one, by the way.
Absolutely, 100%.
Absolutely should have been.
That was one of the worst fouls on a three-pointer I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's always called usually. That's alarming.
Yeah, JB had one that wasn't called in that first game, and then Halliburton got called for a play where he actually kicked his foot out later on in the first quarter. We had that Mikal Bridges play at towards the very end of the game where all of a sudden that's a foul when it hasn't been a foul the entire playoffs or really the entire regular season. And then you also had the JB, the one where he got his fifth foul. I don't know. I guess I don't understand the rule. When I go back and look at that, it seems like he's in a legal. I should look up the definition of legal guarding position because clearly I'm not. I don't understand it, and I really don't understand how you could stop and take a look at that. I mean, it was that play with Siakam. I know this is an earlier game, but that play with Siakam where he hits OG's arm and he's grabbing OG's jersey at the same time. Whether or not you're in a shooting motion or not, no matter what the case is, I just don't know where any time on a basketball court that it's okay to do that and it's not a loose ball foul. If I'm slapping someone's arm and I'm grabbing their jersey at the same time. But you know what? At the end of the day, the Knicks, they prevailed. They pushed through and they continue to show you that they are out of no game. And, Karl Anthony Towns, look, you got to take a look and take a step back. Look at what coach is saying right now. Is he the best big left in the playoffs? It's, him, Julius Hartenstein, this is the guys that we're talking about. And if he can continue to give you that offensive output, and if he can continue to just be serviceable on D, then if we could just ever get some consistency. But what I realize that we're going to have to do when it comes to just basketball of this age and also specifically of Karl Anthony Towns is realize that, you hope you get two good quarters, one quarter, and one just like, come on, guy. Like this, you're not going to have games where you look back and you say to yourself, like, Karl Anthony Towns, he was fantastic. He's perfect that entire game. He's going to frustrate you, but you see him take Miles Turner into the paint, make that spin move, and go up strong, and you're just like, where has that been all game long?
All series long. Turner,
he was the man in game one.
But the thing is, Nick, is that he's in certain ways his own worst enemy. I like that. Yesterday was an amazing fourth quarter, but we know he can do it. We know he can play defense like that. We know he can play offense like that, where when he goes to the hole, Nick, like you said, it's none of the flailing. It's none of the trying to draw, just more concentrating on drawing fouls. Just go hard, and what happens, happens. Go hard and try to make the basket. Stop leaning back and all that. And when he does that, I'm in love. The guy's fantastic. Let's Karl Anthony Towns all day. But, of course, now we're going to see what happens in the next game. If in the next game he shits the bed, Nick, if he shies away from the physicality, if he does the things that we all get frustrated with, you're going to have that same kind of talk. I mean, listen, man, this guy's going to be judged by how this season ends, especially for him. If he keeps playing that way and we lose, which I don't think we will. Okay. See, and that's the other thing. I think if he plays that way, we don't lose. Okay. We can't lose. Jalen Brunson on a shitty night is going to have 20, 25 points. Okay.
Right.
So if Cat plays like he can play, and listen, I'm not talking about 20 points in a quarter. He's not going to do that again, probably. I'm talking about a 25-point game from him. You know, I mean, a 25, maybe 30-point game from him where he's dynamic, where he's forceful. You know, some games he is just not at all forceful, man. And like you said, even in some games that he is forceful, like yesterday, some of those quarters he is not. And that's distressing because, listen, like I said, we can't go back down so many points against these guys again. It's just the law of averages says it's not going to work. Okay.
Yeah, but the law of Knicks says that's our secret recipe.
That's fine.
Get down 20.
Right. So we go down 20 again, we're gonna lose. I think. Okay. We just need to come out with that same kind of mentality. Listen, what happened there was pretty simple though. I mean, Cat went off, but I mean, again, it was defense. We stepped up our defensive intensity and the way we played defense, and that always fuels our offense. If we don't understand that from the jump ball tomorrow night, we could be in trouble.
It's really hard to understand why this team can't do that on a more consistent basis. But I think that some of that is just the game of basketball, and especially, you see a lot of these teams. I mean, if you're a Pacers fan right now, you're like, how is it that in the fourth quarter our offense just totally goes away?
And their defense played like shit too. I'm sure they're saying, Nick, if you're a fan of theirs, you're screaming at Miles Turner. Come on, this big guy, you can't do something better against him. You can't disrupt him. He's got 5 fouls, blah, blah, blah. We'd be screaming if we were Pacer fans right now, about our lack of offense and lack of defense in that fourth quarter.
Yeah. I think Pacers fans probably in many ways feel the same way about Miles Turner as we do about Cat. And just, I just think that Cat's, slightly an overall better player, but they actually
I don't even think slightly, Mike. I think Cat's a much better player.
No. Okay. I take that back. Yes, I think that Cat is much, much better than Miles Turner. Absolutely, no doubt. And I think that that's going to be one of the interesting adjustments that we see in this next game is, do they continue to let Miles Turner hold him? Do they try to put like Siakam on him? But then I think if you do that, then you got Mitch, I guess, in the starting lineup. I think he's gonna hurt Miles Turner on the offensive boards if that ends up being the case. But the big thing that I saw, especially rewatching that fourth quarter, every single play down the court was basically Deuce running a pick and roll with Cat, and Deuce was not looking to turn the corner because that's not really his thing. Deuce was looking to use his gravity as a shooter and then be able to get that ball back quickly to Cat. I think that's something that listen, we all love JB. JB's our guy. Okay, he's great. We don't need to sing his praises anymore. He's our Lord and Savior, Jalen Brunson. He has to put more of an emphasis on getting Cat the ball, running that pick and roll more often. This is up to JB. This is up to the staff to make sure that we are running an offense and we are creating the opportunities that Karl Anthony Towns shoots at least 7 3-pointers per game. He has to. It's just, you can't have the best big man shooter in the league and not get him off shots. We have to stop looking at him like he's a 7-footer and think about him as a guy who needs to get up there. Like, if you have Klay Thompson on your team, prime Klay Thompson, if you have Steph on your team, prime Steph, you're scheming and you're trying and you're encouraging them. It's up to Cat too, but Cat does typically let it fly. A lot of times when JB runs that pick and roll with him, if he could just immediately, boom, pass it right back to him, he would have either a wide open 3 or a defender trying to react to his wide open 3 and therefore, being off of balance. And then that's how you create good offense. So at the end of the day, somehow, some way, his defense, we know what it is. It's not that great, right? So what you have to do is maximize what his superpower is, and that's him shooting at least 7 threes. And like I said, he ends up going 3 of 7 last night, which is great. He didn't hit those 3 until the fourth. So he's got to keep putting them up. He's going to keep putting them up because he's going to get hot eventually. And this guy, it doesn't make any sense to have this guy on your team and not make that a focal point of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, no, I overall agree with you there, and we do need to, make it a point to get him the ball. I think though he also has to make it a point to be available. And when I say he needs to continue playing aggressively, I think yesterday he aggressively made himself available for the ball. I think there's, I almost feel like with Chat, there's a way he can be aggressive about how he shoots threes. There's some times where I feel like he just can't free himself to to create enough space, and then there's other times where he seems fantastic at it. So I think it all plays a part. But yes, the overall scheme has to include getting him the ball a sufficient amount of times in position to do what he needs to do, and then even like I say, like his drives to the hoop yesterday. Especially in the fourth quarter, were outstanding. Outstanding. I just, you and I were watching the game together, and we were just blown away at times watching him do that because, honestly, he did some things last night, Nick, that I felt like I hadn't seen all season. Okay, with as far as his forays to the rim, he was fantastic. Okay, and if we could see that, like I don't know, yeah, I want to see those threes, but I want to see those positive and hard drives to the rim or just turn around, drop step, off glass layups. I want to see that 3 or 4 times tomorrow too. Okay. That's what we need. I don't need any more of the one leg, fake Dirk Nowinski's. I don't need any more of those. And, listen, man, the guy's a very good player. It's just which cat are we going to get tomorrow? He's a very, very good player. And, when you said some of the best bigs left in the game, well, I would consider Hartenstein a big. I wouldn't consider like Julius is not a big on that level. He's not like I don't see him the same way as a big as like Hartenstein and Cat. They're legit, 7 feet guys.
Right.
Julius is a strong 6'8".
He's a front
court player. No doubt about it.
No doubt about it. I mean, I think that even just that term we used to consider small forwards front court players. I consider Julius as a guy who's, to me, a big is a guy who is going to, they can also get me like 10 boards because all my bigs are shooting threes now, just about. You know what I mean? Except for maybe it's like a Hartenstein, no, but most bigs are shooting threes. But a guy can go down there and get me 10, 15 boards. Which I mean, what does that mean? Josh Hart is a big. We got to talk about him.
Exactly.
But
that's ridiculous.
For me, the biggest thing with the whole Cat, what I like about Cat is that Cat will shoot the three, but he won't get like crazy 3 happy where now he's taking like like where he's just firing them up. And the initial pick and roll, if Brunson's first thought is that, okay, I'm running this pick and roll for the point of for my purpose, my first option is to swing the ball back to Cat with him somewhat open because Brunson has so much gravity, but it's just not his first initial thought when he's running the pick and roll. You can see it over and over again. And Cat, when he first makes that pick, is right there and he's open. And that to me, it's about as good as you can get Cat the ball because you get him the ball right there. He's wide open at the 3. He's facing up. I mean, the defender is at his mercy because he can get it up. He gets it up quick and high, or then he's doing that pump fake and driving past you. I just wish that I hope they emphasize it more. And Brunson's sitting there during that fourth quarter, watching all of this happen. Mm-hmm. Tibbs sitting there during that fourth quarter, watching all of this happen. What we've seen from this team and from Brunson, and this is a good transition to talk about Tibbs, is the fact that, hey man, there's times where you'll be like screaming, why can't we got to make a change? Let's like this. It seems so simple that this is what we need to do, and over time it doesn't happen, and then it does. And in the playoffs, you got to make those adjustments a little bit faster. I hope this adjustment he makes, just like the adjustment he made that Knicks fans have been clamoring for. I mean, listen, I got all the DeLon Wright tape out in the world out there about how I was been screaming at this guy I feel like should be playing, especially in front of campaign. And, man, Tibbs expands he changes the starting lineup, first of all, takes Josh Hart out of the starting lineup, inserts Mitchell Robinson. I personally would like to see Deuce in the starting lineup, but, hey, I'll take it. And then you still have Josh Hart playing big minutes, having a huge, huge impact on the game down the stretch. You have the defense, it was interesting. If you look at the plus minus, the old starting lineup, that we went through all throughout the year, they were a +9. The new starting lineup was only like a +1 yesterday in the game.
Nick, okay, go ahead. I'll get in on the starting lineup in a minute.
So I think plus first of all, I think when it comes to plus minus, it's not a game by game thing. It's a you got to look at games of plus minus, and then I feel like it can tell a story as more than it can in just one game. But I thought that even more important than the changing of the starting lineup was the DeLon Wright being jumping over campaign in the depth chart and also Shamit and Deuce and all of them getting extended minutes. I thought Shamit and DeLon Wright, I mean, they handled themselves very well out there. Neither of them did anything great,
Hmm.
but they both were solid. And for the first time in this series, we weren't the team that was wilting at the end of the game in the fourth quarter. I was I would. There's times that I wish Tibbs would make an adjustment a little bit faster, but at the end of the day, he did make the adjustment, kept us in the series, and now we got a chance to tie this up on Tuesday.
Yeah, with the whole starting lineup thing, I thought it was a good move and whatnot. But the fact of the matter is, I don't know that it really was. It paid great dividends. Obviously not. We didn't start the game great. There is something to say that with Mitch in there, that clogs it up a little bit for Cat with his forays to the rim. But I still see that lineup working. I agree with you. The DeLon Wright Shamit combo late clearly paid major dividends. I think clearly campaign. I think they've already handed him a bus ticket.
He dribbled himself into the floor and out of the rotation.
And the thing is, campaign, he seems like a good teammate and all that, a fun guy. But, this guy DeLon Wright waited for his opportunity. When he got it, he played very solid. Nothing flashy. One basket made because Cat got him the ball right underneath the basket.
Mm-hmm. The zesty assist. Have you seen the picture of Cat after he let go of that ball for the assist? He throws the ball and he lets it go, and there's like a still of him like this, and Matt
right.
coming out there. I'm like, y'all, I'll take a zesty assist
all
day, every day.
But Cat, I mean, I think those lengthening the lineup, in the latter parts in the fourth quarter and everything really paid dividends. So I think we'll see more of that. I think you'll still see that lineup change. But listen, at the end of the day, Josh Hart still played his 30, 34, 35 minutes and was extremely beneficial down the stretch. So maybe, I don't know, maybe the dynamic change is good for him. From everything I've read, he was definitely cool with it. He, in fact, even suggested it, I read. So, I mean, Josh is a consummate professional, a consummate teammate.
Yep.
I get it how sometimes people want to ship this guy for this or for that. But I think if at all possible, you want to keep a guy like that. I think he's just a very good player to have on your team for a variety of reasons that will never show up on the stat sheet and all that. But
Josh Hart is the definition of a glue guy. That one other thing that I want to add to the point that you're saying, the thing that I thought was interesting was Josh Hart was fueling a lot of some of those second unit guys being in because he's coming off the bench now. So I think that's the thing with Josh Hart is that when he's on the floor without JB and now he gets to run the show a lot more, that actually, expands like his role and his superpowers.
I agree with you there. And I think to touch on something you said earlier that you'd prefer to see Deuce maybe in the starting lineup. I think maybe, Nick, that there's a chance that Tibbs and the coaches don't want to do that simply because Deuce is such a vital part of the second unit. He's a very vital part of that bench squad. He's our bench squad. I mean, besides, say, Mitch, and now we got these other guys chipping in. But this guy is our bench squad, man. So you kind of need him for that. If you take him out of that, then I don't know. And Ace, I heard somebody make a point earlier that after starting Mitch and playing him those minutes, he was kind of gassed the rest of the game. He was not as effective, say, later.
Least impactful game Mitch has had, maybe in the whole playoffs, and he played like 29 minutes. And
Is that partially due to starting and playing those starter minutes early on? I don't know, Nick. I don't know if he's ready for the longevity yet. Mitch ain't ready for a 30-minute game.
And to me,
There's
honestly,
no way.
One of my things with the whole I like the lineup with the starting lineup with Deuce replacing Hart as opposed to Mitch replacing Hart. But some of what my thought process on there of wishing that it was Deuce in that is that Mitch to me is the guy that like you throw him in and he just fucking changes everything and everybody's like fuck and then you know what I mean, and he comes out and then later on in the game he's walking to the scores table again and you're like fuck this guy again, you know what I mean? Like I think that's more of his overall role, and I just love this. To me, you will see the best of Cat, and the numbers bear this out throughout the season. The best of Cat is when you have Cat and 4 other shooters on the floor, because now he's out there and now the big man has to be out there and everybody else has to stay close. And when we do that well is when all of the back cuts and shit start happening with the OGs and the McHales of the world, just because the floor is so fucking wide open. But hey, it's interesting just because as I'm sitting here and we're singing Josh Hart's praises, we're singing Deuce's praises. There was times in that game where we were like, Josh Hart, that's the stupidest foul I've ever fucking seen. You're personally putting him
the game no matter what.
He did it 3 times in like 2 minutes and was like going out of his way to like give Siakam some rhythm, who did not have killed us in game 2, and then also put us in the penalty. And it was like, what are we doing? Deuce had another time. He has at least once a game where he just loses the ball with nobody on him really. He just
but
loses his
he got that out of the way early yesterday.
Okay, no, but Deuce, listen, Deuce has a 7-point swing at one point in the late third quarter that I thought was huge. Free throws, a 3, and then it's another shot as well. And he had a couple great just energy defensive plays where he's he's just everywhere and he's making the Pacers speed themselves up a little bit. And then Halliburton goes cold. Siakam, like I said, didn't really give you much. This guy Nesmith isn't the third splash brother all the time. And somehow, some way, the Knicks find a way down the stretch. I mean, it almost didn't seem real. Like we were both like, it wasn't like one of those comebacks where like you and I were like all hyping into it. It was almost like, oh shit, we're down by 7.
Right.
We kept saying stuff like, yo, we're only down 13. We're only down 13. And it's like, oh, we're down by 7. And at the end of that second quarter, the Knicks, Reggie Miller said it at the time, everybody who was watching the game, the Knicks closing that quarter and getting down by 13 instead of 20 made it feel a lot,
huge.
More realistic.
13 points is nothing in the NBA now.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And all you need is we turned the defense up, but they also started missing a couple threes. Listen, that Miles Turner 3 at the end that goes in and out. They're up by 1 with 19 seconds to go if that goes in, And the other thing that I thought in the fourth quarter that was so huge, like I said earlier with Cat, but all of a sudden the communication turned up. And you saw multiple rotations where like somebody had to leave their man to go get the guy down low because we were scrambling or whatever, but we were there all of a sudden. And it's just like, what can we do, Knicks? The Knicks, like, what can we do to somehow get this team to understand? How can anybody make this team understand that just like, yo, we need this attention to detail for 48 minutes?
I don't get it, Nick. I mean, we did it for that period of time yesterday. How we don't see that on the film and come out doing exactly that next game, I don't understand. But we regularly do not do that.
Have you ever seen a team that's like this Jekyll and Hyde, honestly? Because I have not. I honestly,
I'm sure there have been, but I think it's hard to say that, Nick. We're so in the midst of it now that it seems like, oh my God, it's like, but I'm sure we've said this about past Knicks teams. We're like,
we've had teams that I feel like before we have looked at them and said, hey man, this team could be a lot better, and every once in a while they show you flashes, but those teams sucked. We've never had like a team that won 50 plus games that it was like, yeah, man, they won 50 plus games, but like I've never seen like the drastic swings in like the levels that this team can play at.
Yeah, no, listen, man, we just got to win tomorrow, man. We got to win tomorrow. We need another at least at a minimum, a decent game out of Cat, big game out of Brunson, and then somebody else has to come up with a big game. Somebody who, I don't know, has to be Bridges, has to be Anunoby. One of those guys has to have 20 or more. Bridges or Anunoby tomorrow. Now, OG, in my opinion.
OG didn't take a ton of shots, but he hit some big ones. He
He
hit some
did. He
big ones.
did.
He ends
He
up being
did.
4 of 6 from 3, which we needed bad. He ends up being 6 of 9 overall. He gives you the blown bunny, and he also gives you the I go up with 2 hands, extendo arms dunk. I mean, it's with OG, you never know with this guy what you're gonna
You
get. You
never
never
know.
know. You
You
really
never know
know.
what
You
you're going
never
to
know
get
what
with
you're gonna
OG.
get, as you like to call him, the enigma. And I thought OG, he had 3 blocks. He did a great job on Siakam, and Siakam got him the game before that. And he was
Mm-hmm.
able to, I don't know what he switched up or if it was just, it wasn't Siakam's night, but I thought OG's defense was much, much better. And, OG gives you 16 points. Bridges ends up giving you 15 points, but man, it just feels like you almost get to
Yeah,
a
it
point,
was a
Bridges,
slog.
now where it's like, do you need to just strictly shoot mid range and not shoot threes anymore? Because he ends up being 1 of 6 from 3. I mean, there was
Yeah,
just so
but he'll
many that it was like,
surprise you and hit like 5 threes next game.
I've been waiting for
If
it,
he if
but
he
it's
has a
not
game
coming.
where he hits 4 or more threes, we're almost short of a win. You
Right?
know what I mean?
Right?
Yeah.
If we could get like a game where the entire team shoots 40% from 3, and we could get like just, somewhat fair officiating, I think that we could end up like running away with the game against these guys. But at the end of the day, it just seems like this Knicks team never makes it easy on you. I mean, that one game against Boston is about the only time that I've seen them, and maybe game 1 of this season until the last fucking 5 minutes. I mean, I'm sorry, of this series. Are the 2 games where we've played the most complete games. But other than that, even in our wins, there's times where this team is just driving you mad, and then all of a sudden they seem to put it all together. As we said, Jalen Brunson, only 6 of 18. Bridges and he both went 6 of 18. Jalen Brunson's only 1 of 5 from behind the arc, but he does hit all 10 of his free throws, including some huge ones down the stretch. And like you said, a bad night for him is 23 points, 1 assist for Jalen Brunson. That number has to be higher.
Has to be higher. Listen, when you think about the fact that first game, we talk about how we lost that game and everybody's upset. When it comes right down to it, Nick, we missed 12 foul shots. That's egregious. I mean, that's brutal. Last night we missed 1. That's a huge, huge difference. We were like 15 of 16.
We're 27 of 30.
Yeah, last night.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we missed 1 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Only missed 1 in the fourth quarter, which
Cat
is
missed 1 in
outstanding.
the fourth quarter, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but
and they were 27 of 33.
Right.
That was one of the annoying things about game 2 is we didn't take advantage of them missing free throws because they missed a lot of free throws in game 2, and we still didn't take advantage of that shit.
Right. So, I think we're gonna prevail tomorrow night. I think we have to play smart and play tough, all that good stuff. But like I said, we need some contributions from somebody else. We need another 20-point game scorer coming up, and I don't think they're going to change the lineup again. They're going to go with Mitch again in the starting lineup, even though I don't think it really paid dividends, but it resulted in a win. So they're going to go with it again. Just because I don't think you want to change things up again and try a third iteration.
No.
Now's not the time to be just constantly changing. So, we'll see. DeLon Wright will surely get some minutes because campaign is not going to get any. And Shamet too. I don't see for a minute that he's not going to play those guys at some point.
Hey man, playing 9. Listen, New York Knicks. We've been waiting all season to see you guys put it together. You get a chance to tie up this series against the Indiana Pacers. Come out with the type of attention to detail that we know you're capable of and make it happen. Get it back to the Garden. Game 5. We got a 9-man rotation now. Tibbs, you took a little while to see the light. You've seen it. It's clear. Everybody's seen it. We have to give these guys a chance to be able to impact the game. Campaign, I don't ever want to see you again. You can dance on the sidelines, but in between the lines, no campaign for me. Cat, be aggressive. Be assertive. Brunson, I'm not worried about Brunson. No way Brunson has 2 games like that in a row. The one thing I need from you, Brunson, is I need 8+ assists from you, JB. Bridges, please be a little bit stronger with the ball. Josh Hart, please don't commit the stupid foul. And if we can just if we do the effort part, we're the better team.
Mm-hmm.
We need to run some more sets. We need to scheme some guys open a little bit more, in my opinion. But that's also on JB as well to just have that facilitator mindset, especially early in the game and often when it comes to Karl Anthony Towns. He's a big man. We have to give him the ball in the position. I need 7+ threes and I need 20 shots from Cat. If we do that, we win. And I think if we go and we win 2 in Indiana, and then we come back to the Garden, the crowd's going to be raucous, obviously. I think the Pacers then would be shook, man, and I think we win it in 6. Yeah. But it's all about how we come out in this game. And, for me personally and my own, cardiac health, can we not get down by 20? Please?
I can't take it. I can't take it if we go down big again. We have to be smart with the opportunity, man. The opportunity is really there right now. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. No matter what this team says, they're all cool and stuff in the post-game press conferences. They're having some doubts, but I'm sure they would say the same thing about us after game 2, right? We're having some doubts. I think we probably did have some doubts, but we're strong enough mentally to suppress that and come out there and play. And listen, clearly we're strong enough mentally because we can go down 20 in a game like that where we're clearly teetering on the brink. Because if we get blown out yesterday, Nick, I think tomorrow would just be a formality, honestly. So now we have a chance to do this. Hey, man, we have a real chance to do it because we can't lose tomorrow and go down 3-1 to these guys. We can't. We can't lose tomorrow and go down 3-1. There's no way. There's no way. So I think we'll do it. I think the team understands what's at stake, obviously, and I think they're going to do what's necessary. These guys are beatable, man, but they've played well, not so well in the waiting parts yesterday, but they've played pretty well. They're a good team, well coached, but I think we can beat these guys if we play the way we can play.
How do you feel about Reggie Miller's commentary thus far?
I'm never usually the guy that's like, oh, I hate this guy because he's the opposing team. I've always heard Giants fans bitch about Troy Aikman. I think that's ridiculous. I've heard them bitch about Tony Romo, saying he's a Cowboy fan, he rips down. I don't think that's true either. I think both of those guys are great. I usually think Reggie is okay. I do think there have been absolute points in this series where he sounded absolutely biased. And, he clearly, in my opinion anyway, he clearly takes more pleasure in their successes than he just shows, he reacts as a fan of theirs. And I get it. I mean, I think it's a tough position to put him in to expect him not to react that way in a real life situation. It's almost now, what do you think? Management put him there because they're looking to needle and, that gets more eyeballs or something. I don't know. But I think there's no way he's not going to be a little biased.
They're their number one team, I think, right now. Harlan and Reggie Miller.
Right.
Is their number one team, and it's
right.
Eastern Conference.
But you wouldn't be putting a guy on there if you thought he was terribly biased. They must think he's pretty honest, but
no. See,
but I think they might like some of the bias because it gets the juices flowing.
Of course, that's exactly what I think. I think that he's their number. I don't think they did it for that reason, but I definitely don't think they mind it. And no one can watch this. That was one thing I took note of last night as well. When I was scouring the internet for Knicks, all types of Knicks coverage, both when it comes to Reggie Miller's commentary and also when it comes to the officiating in that game, people who are not pro Knicks, who are just basketball commentators, were like, yo, Reggie, I mean, it's kind of clear my man is just a straight up going for the Pacers right now. And, a lot of people who understand basketball had a hard time understanding some of those calls. What's up with that travel on Cat? In a league where nothing is a travel.
Good call.
Nothing is a travel. Nothing is a travel, and you let the other team make the call for you. And the guy who made the call, he was screened off. He couldn't see his feet, so he just assumed that he hopped on that foot.
Yeah,
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That travel on Cat, man. Seriously, when you as a referee, you should look at that when on tape, and you should feel bad. You should be like, fuck, I really fucked that up, huh? I mean, it's late in the game. It's a close game. We don't call anything a travel. Tyrese Halliburton can double dribble and then take 4 steps backwards and shoot a shot, and the refs are just looking around like, yeah, that's all good. Cat makes honestly an extremely athletic and amazing play to be able to stay on that foot like he did and gets a huge layup in a very, very close game when you're down 2-0. Come on, man. Again, I believe with all sports, I need a quick eye in the sky. It's made the replay with football so much better that sometimes they make a call and then somebody's just like, wait, hold on. Actually, no, that was wrong. This is what we're doing, because it's just that when it's that clear, when it's something like that,
Yeah.
somebody has to be able to buzz that guy on the shoulder before they sit there and they wait to like let the coaches challenge and stuff like that. Somebody has to be able to see that real quick and be like, hold on, don't inbound that ball. Give us 1 second. They look at 2 more. Nope, that's it. Score the bucket. 2 points. Because it's just when you allow us to be able to see this in HD slow motion right afterwards and just know that Brunson's shot got goaltended, that Cat didn't actually travel, and it's just like, wait, so I mean, come on, man. We have the ability. We have the technology. We stopped the game for all types of other shit. And if it's something that's quick and it's going to take like less than 30 seconds, just get it right.
I agree with you in principle. I think a couple things. I think that's tough to do in basketball because, in basketball, there's such a quick turnaround time from whistle blow, call made. We all hate the call, inbound the ball, let's go. In football, there's a natural gap in between time. So even though it seems like they could do it quick and just say, hey, pause for a second and then go ahead, I think it would slow up the flow of the game potentially. I'm sure they've thought about that, but I don't know what the statistics will show. I think the other thing is be careful what you ask for. I mean, Nick, I think things like this, there are definitely moments that you just brought up from last night and from this series where it would have benefited us. I guarantee you there's just about as many moments that we don't see, that we don't think are issues, that if they're like, hold up, that's Pacers ball. We'd be screaming.
Josh Hart foul on Tim Hardaway Jr.
It was an obvious foul.
Yeah, that's one where it would go against us.
But I don't think, you see, and that's a tough one for me. I think something like traveling right there, I think that should be eye in the sky stuff. I think sometimes with the fouls, it's tough, man, because there is a judgment aspect to it that the refs, they're controlling the game. And that's really tough now to let a machine or let replay call it when we're controlling the well, not machine, but the replay call it and the replay official. It's tough. I think that the refs on the court really have to maintain control of the game there. So I don't know. I don't know how they would make all that work.
Yeah, I get it. Not on judgment calls, but on, calls that are not judgment where it's out of bounds or travel, no travel or something like that. And then especially maybe just do it something where it's like, hey, just the last 5 minutes or, something like that.
Right.
That makes just sense to keep the game moving and everything. But yeah,
right.
It's just it's tough. But like you said, there's definitely times where stuff like that benefits the Knicks. It does not seem like it's even.
Doesn't seem like it's even.
Clearly, I'm biased.
Right.
Clearly, I'm biased, but I don't know. I wish that somebody I don't know. Anyway, this game, man. It's right there for the taking. It's right there for the taking. We still haven't played a great game. We still haven't played a good, complete game.
Now let's remember this. Indiana has lost game 3 of every series they've played so far. They won the first 2 games and lost game 3, and then fucking smashed the team to game 4. So we need to be aware of that they know that too, and they're going to come out extra amped because they believe this is who they are. That's what I'm sure is in their mindset, that this is what we're supposed to do. We bullshit away game 3, but we smash them game 4. So we need to come prepared. Be ready to take a good punch from them early on.
Yeah. Man, in that first game, remember how well Indiana started off, right? In the very first game.
Mm-hmm.
But the Knicks were able to, even Charles Barkley of all people even said afterwards, he said, the Pacers, they're in trouble here because they just played about as good as they possibly can. And the Knicks are right here. It's at the end of the first quarter. And
we blew that game.
That was the ultimate choke job. It's literally the worst playoff choke job maybe in the history of sports. I mean, or at least playoff basketball. Let's say not the history of sports. I give that to the Atlanta Falcons. But at the end of the day, man, dude, you have to figure out a way to win that game. And now you have made it where this game that we just won, game 4, these are now must wins because you gave away that first game. So they've dug that hole for themselves. It's to me, it's all about the movement on the offense. Because if we move on offense against these guys, we're going to get buckets. But that starts, as you always say, with the defense. And there's times like I thought in that Celtics series we saw we saw consistently more so than this series where we were just like, up in guys and playing like real tough defense. And in this series, for some reason, it comes and goes, but we play our best defense of the entire series in game 4. And I wish that I could say to myself that I feel like, you know what, we figured something out there, but with this team as we know, you just never know what you're going to get, man.
You never know. You never know. You got to go into the game with fingers crossed. Let's go.
Hey, appreciate everybody that is checking us out on YouTube and over on Twitter. Give us a like, give us a follow, a subscribe. Come over to YouTube. Not only subscribe, but also hit that notification button so you know when we're going live. Let's talk about the Metropolitans, who took 2 out of 3 in Citi Field over the weekend against the Dodgers. Good series for the Mets. Mets come out and, they win game 1, they drop game 2, they win game 3. Pete Alonso gets his first home run for the first time in 16 games, the longest drought that he's ever had before. Soto had a big RBI double with the bases loaded, ended up scoring 2 runs before Marte got gunned down at the plate. Third base coach is struggling a little bit this year. We've had a lot of guys gunned down at the plate this year.
Yeah. I thought it was a good send with Marte.
With Marte? No.
He got gunned, but
it was a horrible send.
Marte rounded third a little wide.
You're just making I don't even think that.
Yeah, Marte. Yeah. Maybe you don't send Marte because let's face it, the wheels aren't what they once were.
Not what they once were, but he's still pretty. He's still pretty. That just wasn't a good send. It wasn't a good fit. It just wasn't. Yeah, man. Look, Mets. They play against what everybody thinks is the best team in baseball. They take 2 out of 3. Ohtani has that 1 leadoff home run against Senga, but other than that, they held him in check. And the Mets are hoping to get some of these arms back here soon. Blackburn, Manaya, also Montas, all on the comeback trail. And we continue to have issues when it comes to hitting with men in scoring position. The offense is not humming like we all expected it to be. Juan Soto is starting to show signs of life, but at the end of the day, he's not really killing it like we would expect, and we just have to continue to tread water. Like we always say with baseball, you tread water, and then you get in some hot streaks, and you try to minimize the cold streaks. But hey, look, the Phillies, they decide to go ahead and get hot. We're 2 back of the Phillies. I felt like that happened out of nowhere. It was like I felt like we were in first place. We had one of the 2 best records in baseball, and then they lose 6 out of 8. The Mets have lost. We're 4-6 in our last 10. The Phillies are 9-1. There you go. That's how that turns around real quick. So Phillies are all of a sudden red hot after we swept them earlier this season and looked to be like the clearly better team. And it'll just be interesting to see these next 2 series. You got the White Sox and the Rockies, I think.
Yeah.
Got to go 5-1.
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, the White Sox suck and the Rockies are a disaster. So, listen, I think we played pretty well, but we have to, like you said, we have to keep it up. Soto's got to, really get hot here. I'm hoping that he really gets in the groove here. I'm hoping that Pete really gets off the schneid with the home runs and so forth, and batting average. I think we'll pick it up. I do have confidence in this team. And it's going to be an up and down ride. I only know one person who actually thought the Mets were going to go wire to wire. So that's not a big issue. We just got to keep playing good ball. And like you said, tread water. Try to play 600 ball, and then come up with a streak like what these guys just did. An 8-2, 9-1, 10-game stretch. And that's all you need. After that, just play 500 ball almost. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can make something happen. And hopefully in that same period of time when you do that, like the Phillies fall off or that the Phillies are part of the series there and we beat them all 3 games or 2 out of 3 of a series or something.
Right. Right.
And the
So,
Braves are still what, 5 games back now? Braves, I think
yeah,
they're still four
no, the
games back of us.
Braves are 6.5 back of us.
Wow.
So they're eight
Okay,
and a
so
half
let's
back. They're
let's
25 and
keep it there.
27. So yeah, keep them down
Okay.
there. And your boy Mendoza going into this Dodgers series with the Mets offense scuffling, he makes the lineup change and he moves Soto down to 3. He moves Alonso down to 4. Like we said, Alonso, after having being the best hitter in the league in the month of May, he then kind of falls off the cliff. I'm sorry, in the month of April he was the man, and then he falls off the cliff in May, and
Yeah,
all of a
March and
sudden, March and April, yeah, and then all of a sudden, his numbers still good, but we're having long home run droughts, and Soto. We all know what he's done so far and what he hasn't done or whatever. And we make the lineup change, something that I've been asking for since before the season. And we have either put Marte or we have put Vientos in the 2-hole. What do you think of that overall? Is there anybody else that you'd like to see in the 2-hole? Do you think that little slightly more traditional lineup is something that can spark the Mets? And my question always with something like that is if you make that lineup change and then the next 2 weeks we're still suck as far as how we're doing at the plate, what do you do then? Is it like, okay, so now we got to go back? Like, it's easy to say you want a lineup change, but you hope that it gives immediate results, because if not, then there's a lot more questions.
I like Soto. I like Soto in 3 spot. I do, because I like more of a chance of him getting up with more people on base. Who to bat second to me is a tough one. I'm not thrilled with Marte in the 2-hole, and I do think Vientos can do pretty well there, but I don't know. I would think about, that's the position where I would tinker with a little bit, maybe even a Beatty.
Only
I
issue
don't
with
know
Beatty
though.
is then you're going lefty. So then later on in the game,
So I don't want that.
yeah.
So yeah, so I'm not sure. That's something I'm sure Mendy will figure out. I'm very confident in Mendy with his lineup the way he figures out lineups, and I'm very confident with his managerial style overall, and definitely with what he does lineup wise. I feel like he makes good decisions there that have paid dividends. So I'll stick with whatever he thinks is the way to go.
He's willing to mix it up. We saw that from him last year, and I always appreciate that. That was one of the things that I didn't love about, say, like a Buck Showalter, is that he kind of like wanted to just stick with, like, this is the lineup, and who knows what our season is last year if he doesn't put Lindor in the leadoff spot. Everything changed after that, and sometimes you just got to give it a shot and see what sticks. Personally, the number 2 hole should be Mark Vientos, absolutely positively.
I do like
a few
Vientos,
reasons. I like Vientos there, first of all, because I need Vientos seeing, a lot of good pitches. And when he's got Lindor in front of him, and then, you got Soto and Alonso after you, pitchers are going to they're going to look at you as the out to get there. And that's when you can really do damage. We haven't seen the power numbers from him. He's been hitting the ball hard, but he hasn't been hitting the ball over the fence this year. And the other thing with Mark Vientos is his bat has to be valuable, because his glove is mediocre at best.
Yeah.
Man, shaky. And I know earlier in the season there was times you were like, no, Vientos is a good fielder. He's got a good strong arm.
Blade. He does have a strong arm, but
he does have a strong arm. Blade. It's not always accurate. Can't get his glove down. He's got balls going through the webbing. Through the webbing thing to me I was like, what am I watching right now? Like, is this like some like poor kid in some like friggin' some like second world country? Like, what's going on here? No, you're in the bigs, bud. Like, what's going on with your mitt? And yeah, man, Vientos has to be there with his bat, because his glove's not giving you anything. And quite frankly, at this point, man, Vientos got to be the DH, because Beatty is not only tearing the cover off the ball at the plate since he's come back. This kid, talk about resilience.
Yeah.
Send me back down to AAA. I go down to AAA. I start hitting there. I come back up, and now he's hitting the ball all over the place. I mean, he's getting to the point where it's like, yo, can this spot? I don't know if he can be number 9. Yo,
that's what I'm saying.
He's 6, 7, something like that. Yeah, no, he's doing his thing. Put him right behind Pete.
Yeah,
ride the hot hand. See what he can do. I mean, you got Nimmo is gimpy, and you got what Winker's out, so it's like a lefty hitter in the Mets lineup right now to put after Pete, Beatty's probably the guy. So I just, and defensively, he's been fantastic. I mean, he's even looking good at
Excellent.
second. Looking good at second. And then your boy Acuna, he's starting to kind of look like, is he a major league hitter? He's one of those guys that he's the typical, okay, now we got a little tape on you. We know how to pitch
Yeah.
you. Can you make that next
shaky.
adjustment?
Love his speed, but his he has to do better at the plate. And like you say, he's the league is adjusting to him, and he's a little overmatched right now. He's got to readjust.
He's got to readjust. The speed, the fielding, both good. Lindor continues to have a good start, solid start to the season. Fallen off a little bit here recently. Averages down to 273. But I've liked what I've just seen over him. And I like the fact that he's hitting the ball for some power. He's got 10 home runs along with Pete. He's also got 10 stolen bases. So if he can end up being a 30-30 guy this year.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
That'd be huge. That'd be huge for us in this team. And Soto, I feel like here recently, I'm starting to see some signs. Like, and it's not. He had that last week. He had that point where he took 6 straight strikes and looked at all of them. And at that point, it was like, yo, what is he broken? Like, what is going on? What has happened to this guy? Like, but then shows a little bit of life. That 2-run home run that Pete Alonso hit yesterday, that was courtesy of Juan Soto hustling out of the box, beating a bobble from the shortstop, Mookie Betts, who I respect Mookie Betts a lot for the fact that he is able to go from being an outfielder his entire life to playing shortstop while in the bigs and be serviceable at it. But during this series against the Mets, he looked a little
shaky with the leather.
A little shaky over there. But yeah, man, like you said, Marte's a little bit older. He's only hitting 230 right now. OPS of 673.
And Marte is playing out the string. I mean, let's be honest.
How are you feeling about Francisco Alvarez this year?
Yo, dude, he's in trouble. Listen, I like Francisco, but especially with Torrens playing like he is, come on, man. Torrens is definitely a better hitter and definitely a better catcher. I mean, there's no two ways around it. He's better at both aspects of the game than Francisco Alvarez is. Fact.
He is.
Who else is pretty good? Who looked pretty good the other day? Narvaez.
Oh,
the guy we had last year.
Yeah.
No, mind you, that's a really small sample size, but I was like, holy smokes, this guy wasn't this good last year.
He had a good
homers.
Yeah, he had a good series against us, and he's had a good.
But
good
he's
start
batted
to his
400
year.
in the last month.
Yeah, he's had a very good start to his year.
Smokes.
For sure. He was very disappointing in his stint with the Mets. But I mean, if you look at the Torrens, he's hitting over 30 points higher than Francisco Alvarez. And, he's got a 762 OPS compared to Alvarez's 625. And at the end of the day, like, that's because Alvarez was out. It's not like this is like some small sample size. Your boy Torrens has played a lot more than Alvarez has so far.
That's right.
Not a lot more. No, a lot more. He's played 32 games compared to Alvarez's 20. And some of those games are games where you didn't maybe play the whole game. You got in because of late in the game, and then that still counts. But with the Torrens arm being what it is, no. And as you've seen, this is not your typical like, oh, this is my starter and this is my backup. They're much more of a split. Yeah, just as far as their overall playing time, that's going to continue to be that way. Absolutely, keep your catchers, keep them healthy, keep them fresh. And Torrens, who we got for like $100,000 in cash considerations from the Yankees, he was a huge prospect coming up. They brought him up too early, many people say, and now he is blossoming into what a lot of people have to feel like is a starting catcher in this league. I mean, he really, really does come up with some clutch hits. He's got a good, gap-to-gap approach, and the arm is just out of this world. I mean, you really can't run this guy. Last I checked, he had thrown out like 50% of his base runners, and the league average was like in the low 30s.
Yeah, he's incredible behind the plate. I mean, he's just gunning people all over the place. And like you say, man, he's one of the more reliable pitchers. Between him and Beatty, hitters. Between him and Beatty, they're probably our most reliable hitters with runners in scoring position this year. That have actually come through more consistently than the rest of the team. That would be my guess. I obviously don't have any stats in front of me. But I like what I see from Torrens, man. And Francisco, he showed you a lot of pop. early on, but man, the holes in that guy's swing are a mile wide, man. And it seems like every pitcher knows exactly where to go, and he can't control himself. He's done better this year, but you still see some of that leaking through where, this guy's just, he's just out of his shoes on occasion. And, I don't know.
Well, the thing is he seems to trying to be more selective and not swing out of his shoes as much. But then with that, the power has gone away. And he's the
Yeah.
type of guy that, Alvarez, you kind of got to hit home runs, man. With the way that
Yeah.
if you're not really giving us anything else, I mean, he's got one. Wait, that can't be right. Yes, he's got one home
I think
run.
he's got one home run, man. This guy's got about 240, 235 for us, but hit 25 home runs if he was a full-time player. And we'd all be happy with that, to be honest. But I don't think he's going to do that. I don't think he's going to do that with a full season now, Nick. I'm starting to think that that's not in the cards for him. And if that's the case, dude, we are actively searching for your replacement at all times.
The thing, he
Sorry.
was the number one prospect in baseball for so long. He was like such a huge deal supposed to be coming up, and he showed
Operative word
those,
being prospect.
yeah, he showed the signs early on, but now the power has left him. And if all of a sudden he was hitting 270, that would be one thing, but he's still hitting 232.
Right. If all of a sudden he was hitting home runs, that'll be one thing, but he still only got one home run.
Exactly. It's got to be one or the other. Tyrone Taylor, his numbers, he's only in 248. I feel
I know.
His OPS is only 658. It feels higher than that. And I mean, he had
Much
an
higher.
absolute web gem yesterday where he comes in, he makes the catch on the run, and then throws out Mookie Betts at home. Initially, he was called safe, but they went to the replay, and he was, in fact, out. Tyrone Taylor, I like that guy so much, man. And numbers are not the type of defense that he plays. He seems like whenever there's a big rally, somehow he's in the middle of it. I'm a big Tyrone Taylor fan.
I am too. I mean, I thought I remember, Nick, you saying if Tyrone Taylor is, not your fourth outfielder, if he's one of your starting outfielder, that's not a good thing. I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I think this guy could.
At the end of the day, I want a little bit more offensive production from my center fielder.
I'd love it, but if you're getting good, if Soto's playing well and Alonso and those guys are playing well, I'm good with Tyrone Taylor being Tyrone Taylor because he's fantastic defensively.
Yeah, solid for sure.
And by the way, Soto, get out of the way when it's one of those middle balls. Just give it to. Oh my God, just get out of the way.
Just get out of the way, first of all, because you're Soto and he's Tyrone Taylor, but also just because that's the actual rule of baseball. The center fielder gets to call off whoever he wants, whenever he wants. So yeah, Soto's got to be. He's so nonchalant in the field sometimes. And, it's one of those things where it's like, if things go well, great. As soon as things don't go well, like when you make a throw to try to make it to first base and it ends up rolling from first base to third because you just throw it straight into the ground, that nonchalant shit all of a sudden kind of gets under your skin. It's like, yo, what's up? Yeah. But hey, I'm glad that he's did the whole hustling out of the box thing, that's been taken care of. That was, why Pete was able to hit that two-run home run yesterday. And, I just overall, I feel like we're in a good place with the Mets. I'm really good. We were teetering a little bit, and getting this series win against the Dodgers makes you feel a little bit more confident in this team overall. And just the fact that they're not going to totally shit the bed and just be able to take this, this cold streak and be able to nip it in the bud. And like you said, hopefully we can get rolling here, get a little win streak, and we can get up to being 15 games over 500 instead of 10, and continue to just add on as the season goes on. McNeil has looked a little bit better recently at the plate. Squirrel's been coming up with some big hits on Friday night.
Definitely.
He was able to have that 2-run triple.
Yes.
That got the Mets back into the game before they pissed it away in extra innings. But yeah, man, this Mets team, nobody at this point of the season, if you would have said, hey, these, especially with the arms that we have that have gotten hurt, wouldn't take where we're at right now. So we got to look at that and we got to be thankful. And hey, we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. But I'm also really interested to see as we get closer to the deadline. Where are the places where we say, hey, this is what we need? Sugars look good recently.
Sugars look good. Sugars look good. Hopefully he can keep it up. I mean, listen, man, with the pitchers we have coming back, Nick, I think that's going to be like a major injection We're gonna see what this team is really all about coming about mid-season and after the break. Um, I'm feeling very positive. I feel good about what we have right here, right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, especially depending on what Vientos does between now and then, you maybe have to go out there and try and find like a DH, some sort of mercenary DH type.
I think Vientos can mold into that guy. I really do. When you're just talking about his plate work, he'll figure it out.
I hope so. I hope so. It needs to go ahead and happen though. Um, did you see that the Jets had 100% attendance at OTAs?
I mean, who can feel bad about that? I mean, that's obviously a good thing. I watched some, um, Q&As with Garrett Wilson, who's very, he loves having his boy Justin Fields in the house. He talked about the wide receiver room, had some good things to say. I liked what I heard from Quinnen Williams. He says that the difference, he says that they asked him how would he describe how this guy Aaron Glenn coaches, and he said, hard-nosed football. He said, I wouldn't put it any other way. It's just hard-nosed football. And you know what? I like hearing that from a guy who's an Alabama guy who we know that's how Nick Saban gets down. If he thinks that's what that is, that's a good thing to me because he's clearly a good barometer of that sort of thing. Well, like you brought up last week, the whole thing about, like rookies not actually participating in OTAs, which is just ridiculous to me. It just shows me more that Salah was more of like, hey, make sure you get your hot tub time. Make sure, you get your body treatment, that sort of thing. Instead of having guys out there, you know what I'm saying, Nick? Like, did you get the mentholatum body rub, with the leaves or some bullshit? I'm saying you need guys out there smashing, each other, smashing heads. Not necessarily, not literally, obviously, but that's how football is played, and that's how that's how we need to be. Like I always say, I felt like for a long time now, except for let's say back in the the conference finals years with the Jets back in 2010, 2011. We've constantly been the ones who are getting hit first, constantly, on our heels, getting hit first. And in football, it's all about punching the other team in the mouth and keep punching them in the mouth and keep punching them in the mouth until the game's over. It's just, it's the nature of the game, man. There's no way you can play the game, I think, successfully any other way. It's not a kind game.
Everything I read talks about the energy, the just different mindset and the overall intensity of these practices, and
Gotta love that.
you gotta love that. You have to love that. And when people who have been around the team for these last few years all say the same thing, there's got to be something to it.
Right.
Will McDonald added 15 pounds. Like,
Did he? I didn't see that. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So he's been on the protein shake, been on a little nutriment over the summer. Hardo bread.
I don't think he's having nutriments, Dad. But I think that listen, whenever you get the new regime, you got to be hopeful. I'm a little. The biggest thing that makes me nervous about Aaron Glenn is just his surly attitude with the press, and if things don't go well, how badly and how quickly that can go south.
Yeah.
I do feel like the Salah regime was a little too soft. I really always felt that way about Salah, from, or not, I'm not gonna say always. At the very beginning, hope is eternal. But then from, as soon as we start, just whenever I see a team that gets penalized a lot, I think they're soft typically. Because, especially when it's not like we're like brutalizing guys and that's why we're getting penalties. We're getting a lot of penalties just because we're just doing stupid shit. Just being undisciplined. It doesn't seem like we're running a disciplined operation overall.
We haven't been drilled to the point of exhaustion, which is what you need in football. Because in football, especially, you have to be able to make decisions and do things when you're exhausted, when you're in pain, and when the other guy is trying to inflict pain and exhaustion upon you. You still have to be able to make sound decisions and be strong of mind. And the only way, I think, and I don't know anyone who would disagree with the only way you can practice that is to have been in that very situation many times. You can't talk about that and then go out there and do it. When somebody's in front of you and just beating the shit out of you, you're not going to make good decisions unless you've actually had to make those decisions with somebody beating the shit out of you before. So,
No, I hear you. And we'll see. The whole Justin Fields thing is this. He's a guy that if you have the staff and you have the personnel and you say, all right, we maximize this guy, he's not going to all of a sudden become a great pocket passer.
No.
But
20 to 24 passes a game.
But if he can also, rush for damn near 1,000 yards, and we can have a smash mouth offense in that, northeast weather in the wintertime that is just coming at you and just, over and over again, just cracking. And then occasionally, now we throw the big one. Hey, man, we saw Sanchez. We saw Sanchez do it. We've seen it. We saw Sanchez.
And Sanchez couldn't run.
Sanchez couldn't run.
And Justin Fields is bigger and stronger than Sanchez, I think, isn't he? Justin Fields is a decent sized guy, and he's not a small guy. He's a tough guy, man. He's a tough
guy. He's fast.
He's a very tough
guy. And if you can make that running game a big part of your scheme, it just makes the defense have so much more to be worried about. And especially
now
if we can get our two running backs off. Now, and we can get our two running backs off too. And if the offensive line can be what we think the potential is, and we have some depth to be able to take, some injuries and still be able to, have a professional offensive line out there, hey, we can hope for the best. The defense, I'm really interested to see just what the defense looks like, because it's going to be so different than anything we've seen before. Sauce. Hey, Sauce. Again, another thing with Sauce. Hey, Sauce, you want a day Ice Spice? You better come out here and play well this season. That just turns up the microscope on you a little bit when you want to sit sideline with Ice Spice specifically. She's somewhat of a polarizing figure, and I'm looking forward to getting to the point where we're playing real games. I mean, I haven't really been focusing on a ton of Jets just because of obviously where the Knicks are right now, and it is in the middle of the Mets season, but. I've been paying attention for sure. I've been watching, all the videos with, Aaron Glenn and the different things he has to say. And, he's not super polished, but he is, fiery. You can see that. And that this team, we both said it when we were looking for a coach, that this team needed a taskmaster. They needed somebody who was going to come in and was going to, whip guys into shape and hold them to a certain level of accountability. And so far, from everything that everybody's saying and from everything that I'm seeing, he does seem like he is that guy.
Yeah, I think so. Just knowing him as a player, I think so. He's like, a silent assassin type. He's not a talker. He's not, big on, especially when he was a player anyway. You wouldn't hear much about Aaron Glenn, but he played, he tackled, he was a good hands, good defender. I think he'll be the same kind of coach, man, and I think he takes a lot from Bill Parcells, where, he's not trying to be chummy and smiley in press conferences, and that may turn some people off, but I don't think he gives a shit, and I like that. I'm fine with that. If there's anything I would say, and I like Saleh, I was a big Saleh guy, but frankly, you get enthralled with the whole Xerxes, the running the stairs, all that bullshit. None of that matters. Okay,
you're the only person that was enthralled with him being Xerxes. That's a you thing.
No, that was a thing. People talked about the whole Xerxes resemblance. Come on,
no one's ever talked about it as much as you have.
I saw a post with side by side pictures of him and Xerxes. Come on, it was a thing. It was real.
No one's ever talked about it as much as you have. That's for sure.
People talk about it. It's out there. Anyway, and I think Aaron Glenn's going to be more surly, and I think his team is going to play that way. I think there's something to, in all sports, the team taking on the characteristics of the manager, right? And maybe Saleh was like too nice a guy. You know what I mean? I mean, like, we seem to be like a team, a really good team, but I think we were most in line to win like the Walter Payton Award every year. We were those guys. Sully Thomas, great guy, good, and loves the theater, and he's the Walter Payton Award. No, I don't want that. I want a guy who, possibly can be, maybe the cops find him side of the road at some point. Didn't hurt anybody. Just needed to sleep it off. Get that guy in the camp. Let's go.
Yo, you're wilding right now.
He didn't hurt anybody. He pulled off to the side of the road. That's the kind of guy I need.
Okay.
Responsible, but a little bit nutty.
Yo, you do need a couple nut jobs in your football.
This is football, man.
Yeah. No, there's something to that. There's something to that for sure. But that's still a wild statement, though. Wild statement.
Like I say, he didn't hurt nobody.
Yo, what's up with your boy Skinny Luka?
Oh, I heard about that. I didn't see the picture though, Nick. I haven't seen the picture, but I heard about it.
I'm pretty sure I put it in our group chat with the Godfreys.
Oh, look. I hope he does the right thing. But let's face it, it's early. He's still got more than enough time to pack it back on. So, what are you going to do with the rest of the summer?
I know, but if he's not waiting, if he's doing it right now, I think that's huge.
Great. But okay. So now don't go on a friggin', 2-month private or a 1-month private cruise, all the the streams of Serbia. I don't fucking know. Just keep it up is what I hope. I mean, look, I hope Luka does the right thing. It makes the league much more interesting if he's doing that out there in LA, with LeBron. I'd like to see it.
Listen, it really, really comes down to, it would be hard for me to see this guy after everything that has happened this past year, not come out and be like, all right, okay, I gotta really, this is we gotta get this done. I gotta make sure that I come in the best shape possible, and that here we go. Check this out.
I think, wow, look at that.
Yo, and I saw a video of it where he's moving around. This is not just like some angle shit. Like where he's moving around. He's clapping his hands. Dad.
His face. Look at his jawline. He actually has a jawline right here.
This is what I'm trying to tell you.
I've never seen that before.
This is what I'm trying to tell you.
Because his face and his neck were all one thick, module. Now look at him. Hey man, they must be doling out that Dexatrim over there in where he's from.
No way he's taking any type of like
weight loss drugs.
No, the thing about
Ozempic.
They destroy your bones, bro. You couldn't be a professional athlete and be doing that shit. Fuck you all up. But no, look, we know that this guy is still in very good, not great shape on an NBA level, but he's in very good shape to be able to play NBA basketball. So just a couple changes in lifestyle and a slightly, more intense workout regimen, and this is not far off. And I'm telling you, he's getting skinny. He's going to be a little bit more jacked. And shit, the league better watch out for Luka next year. If he's seriously going to put that type of, that type of thought process and that type of diligence into his body. With what we've seen, what he's been able to do when we know that he's nowhere close to being in peak shape, it's gonna be one of those things where it's like, on some y'all must have forgot type shit. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like Melo late in his career. Yeah.
He should be absolutely motivated, Nick. And after seeing this picture, I'm thinking, hey man, this guy might come back next year and just really rip it up. That would be awesome. That would be, like I say, a great story for the NBA.
Great story for the NBA, and a great story just for aspiring athletes and people in general about the fact that, like, if you actually do what you're supposed to do and put your mind to it and maximize your potential, be the best that you actually can be. And this guy has been so good his entire life that I can see why, you're like, I'm Luka, like I'm doing pretty well at it. But now for the first time, everybody's like asking him, like, everybody, the microscope's on him and everybody's like, yo, Luka's not that nice. This guy's better than Luka. I'd rather have this guy. And you got traded. And then you flamed out in the playoffs. Lakers go get a center. Luka levels up to even another level.
Mm-hmm.
Could be crazy, man. Could be crazy.
Gonna be something.
Dallas getting the number one pick.
By the looks of him, right? Maybe by the looks of him, maybe he's living in LeBron's basement.
Your boy Cooper Flagg went to Rucker this week, hit a buzzer beater. He's gonna be so good in the pros, man. That guy's gonna make an all-star team in like his first 2-3 years.
Yeah, he would. And like I heard somebody talking about, if you were Dallas, would you trade the Cooper Flagg pick for Giannis? And I'm like, I wouldn't do it. I would not do that.
Absolutely.
He's too young. He's too good. I mean, Giannis is great, But I'm not
Yeah, but
trading that
listen,
Cooper Flag pick, man. No
okay,
way.
but if your second best player is going to be Kyrie Irving, how long is your window?
I know, but I'm not trading Cooper Flag, man. I don't care.
I wouldn't trade him.
No way.
I mean, Giannis is great, but he's 30 years old, and
And he doesn't shoot a jump shot. I mean, listen, Giannis is great. But no, I'm keeping that kid Cooper Flag. He does literally everything I need a ball player to do on the floor. He does.
And he's young as fuck. He's supposed to be. He was supposed to be a
growing.
freshman. He was supposed to be a senior. He's supposed to be a senior in high school this year.
Yeah.
He's 18. He's only 18.
Right.
He's supposed to be
I'm saying he's gonna be 19 when he gets into the league.
Right.
Next
his
year.
His twin brother played high school basketball last year.
Wow. He must not be that good because you never hear anything about him.
No, I think he's going D2. He's high level D2.
Okay.
He's just not quite his brother. That must suck, man, to grow up and have like this twin who's just fucking unreal. And you're good. You're a good basketball player, but your twin brother is just like out of control. And it's like, I got all the same genes.
Right. It's probably a situation where like Cooper Flag 6'9" and his twin brother's like 6'4".
Right. Right.
You know,
like that. Let's see. I want to find out real quick. I want to know that. Cooper.
Just Google the other flag.
The other ace flag.
He must have been born first.
Oh, but they're fraternal twins though. They're fraternal twins. So it's not like he has the exact same genes as what's his name as Cooper does. Right. Ace flag is 6'8". He's 6'8".
Okay.
He's playing D1. He's playing for Maine. Committed to Maine.
Maine. Okay.
Yeah. Listen, hey, Maine, you got a chance to, if you're really good, get to the league for Maine. But I mean, playing good, high level. I mean, that's not high level, but that's Division I basketball. You got to give them some credit.
There's no doubt. That's a good thing. You never know. Hey, man, they find people in different places, man. Speaking of which, shout out to Tony Duckett Jr. His dad, a good family friend, grew up with me and your Uncle Godfrey, and his son is going to Santa Clara to play for the Gales. So shout out to him, 6'4" guard. He should do really well. Looking forward to what he does.
Very good, very good. All right, Knicks, man. Come on. Tuesday night, we're down 1-2. Go out there, get that dub, and let's bring it back to the Garden and watch the Garden go bananas, and let's win this Knicks in 6. Catch us every week on YouTube or wherever you find your podcast. Please follow, like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that notification button on all platforms. Really appreciate all the love. You can find us on all socials at Nic On Knicks. That's N.I.C. on Knicks. Love you, big guy.
Love you, kid.